I'm Alex Michelson. This week, the issue is another oil spill off our coast. With us, Congresswoman Katie Porter, who is helping to lead the congressional investigation into that. Then, an exclusive issue is debate with Brian Tyler Cohen on the left, Michael Knowles on the right, on the big issues of the week. Plus, what do you say to somebody who says this is completely unacceptable that this is happening here? We tour a homeless encampment with the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. The issue is starts right now.
Broadcasting across California, California's only statewide political show. You're watching The Issue Is.
We are going to make sure that we have answers as to how this happened and to make sure that we hold the responsible party accountable.
Democratic Congresswoman Katie Porter in Orange County this week with a massive oil spill in the ocean behind her. As the investigation and cleanup continues off the California coast, new questions are being raised about oil and offshore drilling. Welcome to The Issue Is. I'm Alex Michelson. This is not the first time California has dealt with a major oil spill, but could it be the last? Where does our state go from here when it comes to oil? Katie Porter is the chair of the House Oversight and Investigation Subcommittee. Congresswoman Porter, welcome back to The Issue Is.
Thank you.
You are tasked with helping to investigate this spill. How does something like this happen?
Well, in this case, the cause has not yet been determined, but we will be conducting a thorough investigation, and the federal investigators are already on site doing that, collecting information, beginning to investigate, and that part of it will take time, but we will absolutely hold the responsible party accountable. At the meantime, the focus is really on making sure that we're cleaning up the spill as quickly and as safely as we can. This spill has put our wildlife at risk, our health at risk. It's bad for our economy, obviously. And so there's a lot of focus right now on doing the response. At the same time, I want everyone to be assured that there is going to be accountability for why this happened.
Do you think that offshore drilling should end? And do you have the votes in Congress right now to make that happen?
I absolutely support banning new offshore drilling. I've been a supporter of that from the very get-go. We had President Trump who tried to increase and create new drilling off the shores of California. Governor Newsom, along with people like me, very strongly opposed that. But I think we absolutely need to ban offshore drilling, and we need to move toward investing in green energy and cleaner energy. And that is exactly what President Biden's Build Back Better Act does.
Are you concerned, though, in the short term about gas prices? We've seen them sky high in California, and by doing something like that, could you end up with less supply?
Well, offshore drilling in California provides a very, very small proportion of the fossil fuels that we use. And as the governor said recently, requests to abandon and close down offshore oil rigs last year to the state of California were more than requests to begin new drilling and continue drilling. So we're already headed in this direction, and California has been a leader for the country in this way. I think we need the federal government to catch up to where California has been. California has not approved any new drilling permits for 50 years. And so that's where the federal government needs to get to. So we're protecting all of our coastline.
Let's talk about infrastructure for a moment. Democrats hope to have a deal by now. Progressives and moderates, though, can't agree on how big a package should be when it comes to infrastructure. Where are we at right now? Can you take us inside your caucus?
Yeah, so right now, the President of the United States is working to bring everyone to the table to pass his agenda, and I support that agenda. I spoke to the president in a small group meeting earlier this week, and one of the things he emphasized that is unless our country invests in things like paid family leave and childcare, we will not be able to compete going forward. So I think the president is having that negotiation. He's leading it. The House stands ready to pass both the infrastructure bill and the Build Back Better Act, which we have put through markup. We've had hearings, we've done the work, we've written the legislation. The holdup right now is 2 senators, and the president is working tirelessly to get those senators to the point of agreement.
Okay, so those senators you're talking about is Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. Joe Manchin from West Virginia, Kyrsten Sinema from Arizona. They want a much smaller plan, like $1 trillion plan. People like Bernie Sanders want $3.5 trillion. Where are you on that divide?
So I support what's in the $3.5 trillion bill. Those are necessary investments in climate, in housing, in childcare, in healthcare. We're trying to get Senators Manchin and Sinema to put on the table what they are willing to vote for. And if they're not willing to meet the needs of our economy or of the American people, they need to say so.
So what's your direct message to them?
Well, I think both of them are having conversations with the president. I think they need to go to their constituents and make clear exactly what they are willing to support and what they want to leave on the cutting table. So Senators Manchin and Sinema, they don't want to take action on climate. They need to say so. They're simply hiding behind this kind of big number rather than going through what programs are they willing to support, what initiatives and priorities do they have, and what do they want to allow to continue to be a problem and not address.
It sounds like you're frustrated with them.
Well, I think that we're all in this process of waiting for them to continue to have the negotiations. I think they're negotiating in good faith. I have a lot of confidence in President Biden to continue to lead the way, to use his common sense and his thoughtfulness to get to an agreement. But I think the biggest point for people to know is the House is ready.
Before we let you go, we like to have some fun on this show, so we play a game called Personal Issues. This is where we put 30 seconds up on the clock and get to know you a little bit better. I know you've been so busy with work, but this is some of your favorites outside of work. All right, you ready? So here we go.
Yep.
What is the favorite show that you've binged recently?
Peaky Blinders.
All right, favorite book you've read recently?
Gosh, Alex, these are hard. Right now I'm reading a really great book called Dear Edward. It's about a survivor of a plane crash. It's a fiction book.
Favorite meal to make for the kids?
Oh, spaghetti.
Best restaurant in Orange County?
Oh, I like East Borough, a Vietnamese restaurant.
And what's your favorite quote or motto?
Oh, buy the ticket, take the ride.
All right, we are taking the ride. Thank you very much, Congresswoman Katie Porter. Always a pleasure to talk with you.
Absolutely. Alex, I read about a book every other day. So, favorite book I've read recently, I mean, it's like...
How do you fit that in?
How do you fit that person?
How do you fit that into, are you a speed reader? How do you fit that into your day?
I read really, really fast. I mean, I was a professor. It's an important skill to becoming a professor.
Yeah.
And I don't watch much TV.
Okay.
So I read a lot at night.
Excellent. All right.
So thank you.
I want to be you when I grow up. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Alex.
Bye. Up next, two well-read gentlemen debate. Brian Tyler Cohen on the left, Michael Knowles on the right, and later, the biggest debate of the week over baseball. We go to break with a shot above Dodger Stadium from the Above Los Angeles Instagram page. What do you think of a vaccine mandate? Is that an overreach, or is it something that you may consider doing statewide?
Look, I appreciate the local determination.
This week, Governor Newsom told me he is not currently planning a statewide mandate for indoor businesses like Los Angeles and San Francisco recently passed. Here for the Issue Is debate this week are two of our all-time favorite guests debating for the very first time. Brian Tyler Cohen is one of the most followed progressive voices in the country on YouTube and various social media channels. His podcast is called No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, and I'm honored to be a regular guest on it. Michael Knowles has never invited me on his podcast with Ted Cruz before. He's the host of the Michael Knowles Show on the Daily Wire. His book is called Speechless. Since Michael's last appearance here, that book became a national bestseller. Congratulations on that, Michael. Welcome to you both.
No, thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, okay, I consider both of you friends. You're both almost the exact same age. You both often go viral, and you agree on almost nothing. So I'm eager to see now how this goes. Michael, let's start with you. Your thoughts on the increasing vaccine mandates we're seeing all over the country?
On this specific vaccine for this specific virus, I don't think there's any real argument for it, scientifically, legally, or politically, because scientifically, the reason for a vaccine mandate would be to protect the public health. Vaccines can do two things. They can protect you, the person who gets it, and they can protect other people from you. But this vaccine, while it might mitigate your risk of hospitalization and death, does not protect you, or prevent you rather, from contracting the virus or spreading it. Even the CDC admits this. That was in their report at the end of July.
You just said, though, that it could very well make it harder for you to die from COVID. Isn't that reason enough?
Well, I think you're making a good argument to get the vaccine, but I didn't realize we were debating whether or not people should get the vaccine. I think that's a completely separate issue. The question is, does the government have the right to institute these kinds of mandates? And I think the legal grounding is pretty shaky. But two, is there a public health benefit to getting that vaccine?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're living in the same country, because we've lost 700,000 Americans so far, and the vaccine protects people in 99% of those cases. You are 11 times more likely to die if you are not vaccinated. And the states with higher vaccination rates have less cases, less hospitalizations, and less deaths. Beyond that, you can also consider the fact that the more people who get this virus, the more opportunity it has to mutate. So by willfully allowing it to spread by virtue of not enacting vaccine mandates, we're risking rendering the vaccines that we do have useless and then being right back at the place we started in the very beginning. And for a political party, that claims to hate this pandemic so much, they seem pretty hell-bent on prolonging it as long as they can.
But Brian, I think the part that you're missing here is that the vaccine does not prevent people from contracting the virus or transmitting it. That's what the CDC acknowledged.
That's willfully ignoring the fact that the rate of breakthrough cases is astronomically smaller than if people aren't vaccinated in the first place. The craziest thing here is this is being said as if we haven't, again, just lost 700,000 people. Try telling the families of those 700,000 victims that that it's not important enough to impose any draconian measures. This is going to be this.
What is the average age of a COVID death in the United States?
I'm not sure. I don't have that on me.
So the average age of a COVID death in the United States is north of 80. The average age of a COVID death in the United States is higher than the average life expectancy in the United States. So I'm not saying that we don't need to protect grandma. We should, but grandma can go get the vaccine, and that vaccine is going to protect her from hospitalization and death. It's actually not going to provide an additional public health advantage.
I can't speak to the accuracy of those numbers, but even if I do take you at your word, that still doesn't account for the fact that we have younger people who are dying, and virtually all of those dying are unvaccinated. This vaccine is FDA approved, it's free, it's readily available, it's effective, it has been administered to billions of people, and it saved lives. And the deaths that have occurred since the vaccine's been available have largely been avoidable, preventable, if only they'd been vaccinated. But to your point about vaccine mandates, we have other vaccine mandates in this country for measles, mumps, rubella, DTaP, polio, smallpox. There is a reason that we don't have to worry about polio in this country, and it's because we have vaccine mandates. So to challenge the efficacy of vaccine mandates...
We don't have a nationwide polio vaccine mandate.
Well, we do if you want to be a public school student in just about every public school in the country.
Certain institutions require certain vaccines, of course, but no one is suggesting that that's not acceptable.
So, Michael, you keep quoting CDC data. You also are quoting CDC data that says that you should wear masks if you're vaccinated. Do you follow that CDC data?
No, I'm happy to quote statistics when they make a good argument for my side, but I also don't think that the CDC is going to be the be-all and end-all authority in the country. There has been a lot of contradiction, not just by the CDC, but also by the FDA, also by the WHO, the World Health Organization, which was instrumental in covering up the coronavirus early on, which led to a far greater spread of it. So I'm happy to take prudential measures. I'm not encouraging people to go out and lick doorknobs or anything like that, but I think it's quite clear. I've already had the coronavirus. I've recovered from it. There is such a thing as natural immunity. Vaccines are extraordinarily widespread, and so I just don't think that we ought to be living in fear and muzzling ourselves, because there are other political considerations and personal considerations to take into account beyond not contracting one single virus.
Well, at least we can all agree that licking doorknobs is a bad thing to do. We're going to have to leave this debate here, but up next, these guys are back to debate President Biden's agenda. We go to break with music. This music is from Michael Knowles himself from his Instagram page. Take it away.
How disappointed are you that there is no vote tonight, Madam Speaker?
Democrats not able to pass President Biden's agenda, at least not yet. He wants to spend trillions on everything from roads to childcare. Let's debate this now. Is it worth the price tag? Back for us, Michael Knowles on the right. Let's begin with Brian Tyler Cohen on the left. Brian, why do you support this idea of building back better?
I believe that we should expand Medicaid to cover vision, hearing, and dental so that the people who need it most can get it. I support offering paid sick leave like every other industrialized nation in the world. I support addressing climate change, even as storms and wildfires destroy our infrastructure. I think we should modernize the electricity grid. I think we should allow for child and elder care to free up caretakers to go participate in the economy so they can get jobs and stimulate the economy. Not only does all of this make sense, it should be the bare minimum for the most prosperous country in the world, just like it is for every other major industrialized country in the world.
Michael.
Well, I suppose that all sounds very well and good. If I'm opposing this, I suppose I oppose building back better, right? But I think beyond those slogans, which we could all agree on, yes, we all want children to be raised very well, and we all want everyone to be treated equally, and we want to protect the environment. And of course, the question is this the way to do it? This is a bill that is going to cost $3.5 trillion on paper, but it's actually going to cost a lot more than that. Let's look at what this law does that is perhaps not so nice and not so popular. You've got a doubling of the size of the IRS and a lot of money being spent to do that. And furthermore, you're giving the IRS in this law the ability to look into your bank account if you have more than $600 in that bank account. And then there's this issue of the debt. I mean, let's not forget the numbers here. It's not the be-all and end-all, but we have a $28 trillion debt in this country right now. Within 10 years, debt to GDP ratio is going to be well over 100%. And this is a drag on the economy, and it also raises serious political questions. What kind of a country is it that leaves as an inheritance to the next generation lots and lots of debt?
Do you think Republicans have consistently been focused on debt?
Yeah, I think starting January 20th, 2021, Republicans have started focusing on the debt. Here's the thing. First of all, this bill is paid for, and it's paid for in ways that are even more popular than the actual provisions of the bill itself. It's paid for by raising taxes on companies that don't pay. It's paid for by raising taxes on the ultra-wealthy, those making over $400,000 a year. It's paid for increasing capital gains taxes on the wealthy. And like Michael said, by increasing IRS funding, because for every dollar spent, the IRS can generate $6 in returns from tax cheats. So for those who oppose this legislation, it really does speak volumes about the kind of people that they're protecting. The fact is that the only reason that Republicans oppose this is because these provisions threaten their entire reason for being in government, which is to coddle the rich. The people who claim that we can't afford these monumentally popular provisions like the ones in the Build Back Better Act are the same people who were frothing at the mouth when Republicans passed a $2 trillion tax cut that overwhelmingly favored the rich.
I have no problem having giant woke corporations paying more in taxes. That would be fine by me. But what this represents, I think, this Biden agenda, is a power grab.
There are some people in the center that might say government doesn't do all that much, all that well. And this idea of massive programs run by the federal government is concerning.
It's funny that Republicans like to bring this up as boilerplate platitudes, but when you actually look at the provisions in this bill, 2/3 of all Americans support it, and that includes net 78% of Republicans and net 25% of independents, so those very people that you were talking about.
We're going to have to end it somewhere. One thing, though, I think you both can agree on is that you both love being dads. So, Michael, here you are with your new son. Congrats on that. What a picture. What a face there. And Brian,
thank you.
You don't have a human son yet, but your dog, Aston, gets more love than most children on the planet. So mazel tov to you on that. Quite a picture right there. Thank you both for coming on. That was fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Up next, the Secretary of the VA, but we go to break with more music and these images from photographer Josh Furman flying above San Francisco. This week, we join the Secretary of Veterans Affairs for a visit with homeless vets in one of California's wealthiest neighborhoods. It got tense.
It's not right. The way these people have to live right now.
Veterans speak out directly to the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Denis McDonough, during a tour of a homeless encampment outside the VA in West LA.
I'm out here representing these men that don't deserve this.
This vet can barely speak due to his injuries.
Whatever you can do.
Count on it. I don't want to see him out here either.
The tents here include American flags to signify those who served. What goes through your mind when you look into those tents And what do you say to somebody who says this is completely unacceptable that this is happening here?
I agree that this is completely unacceptable. That's why I'm here.
The secretary joined by Congressman Mark Takano, chair of the Veterans Affairs Committee.
I'm more optimistic than ever that we're going to see homelessness end.
HUD estimates there are more than 37,000 homeless vets in America, with more than 11,000 of them living in California.
We all need help.
Gulf War vet Kelly Mitchell pitched a tent here a month ago and was astounded to see some of LA's most expensive real estate just feet away.
You got the richest part of LA with the poorest part. And never mixes good together. Something's going to happen.
Is there a place to put some of these people so they're not literally outside here but on the property?
Well, I think you see some of it right here. In fact, so there are opportunities here throughout.
On this trip, McDonough and Takano also toured the VA in Loma Linda. McDonough previously served as President Obama's chief of staff and says President Biden's mission for him is clear.
His charge to me is to fight like hell for every veteran.
Congress is currently considering trillions in spending on so-called human infrastructure. Congressman Takano says that includes more money for vets.
I have personally spoken to the president about this. He is personally committed to making sure that we take care of our veterans.
Help the veterans. Because if it weren't for us, there wouldn't be no country.
Our thanks to them. We end this week with something fun. With the Dodgers and Giants facing off in the playoffs for the very first time, California's politicians are being forced to take sides. Governor Newsom, who of course is the former mayor of San Francisco, clearly siding with the Giants. California's first senator from Southern California in decades, Alex Padilla, is for the Dodgers. And I know I'm supposed to be unbiased, but I can't help it here. As a lifelong Angelino, my dad raised me to be a Dodger fan. We even had cutouts at Dodger Stadium last season. Now we can be there in person. We end with a shot above Los Angeles. Thanks for watching The Issue Is, and go Dodgers.